The other thing I want to talk about was there was some confusion on the rules and the regulations of this tournament, so I'd like to take a couple moments just to talk about that. So here's how the tournament will unfold. All quarter final and semifinal matches will be scheduled for 3 5-minute rounds, and the tournament final will be 5 5-minute rounds for the Strikeforce World Grand Prix Championship. If a fight results in a draw, any fight that is, if any fight results in a draw, an independent fourth judge will determine who advances or who wins based on the fighter's overall performance in the fight. So we will have a fourth judge on hand scoring the fight independent of the other 3 that we normally have. If a fighter qualifies to advance into the tournament but for any reason cannot advance, we're forming a 5-person tournament review committee who will select a fighter to advance in his place. This fighter will be chosen from a pool of fighters that include the previous opponent and the winners of reserved matches. And the winner of the final match will be crowned Strikeforce World Grand Prix champion, and he'll receive an opportunity to fight for the Strikeforce heavyweight belt at that time. And I think I've spoken enough. Let's turn it back to you, John.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for taking the time. Scott, can you just talk a little bit more about the thinking that went into making the 3-round fights and not having Overeem's title on the line, because that's originally where you guys were. What changed that? And, just can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, you know what, the thing is, Josh, in this tournament, everybody has to climb the same mountain, and we just couldn't put that together, or we had to pick one way or the other. So, you know what, to make it simple, just like they do in Japan or any, when I was working for K1, it was the same way, that the tournament champion will stand on his own, and we will have, our heavyweight champion and then the tournament champion. So there was some confusion in the beginning, but I said all along that, unless we can't, we get all the commissions on the same page, it would be a difficult thing to do, and we just didn't feel that it was fair for one person to fight 5 rounds, one person to fight 3 rounds. And then, there was debate about, well, should the final fight, which was 5 rounds, be a title fight? But then what if, somebody, Alistair, wasn't there? Then it just became very confusing. So we thought this would be a great way to launch a tournament, and we're very happy with it.
Based on my conversation with regulators, there didn't seem to be any issue in terms of 5-round fights. Where did you run up against problems? I mean, what states or what locales said that you couldn't do that?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, obviously I don't want to point out any commissions, but as you know, we're going to be not just in shopping this fight in 1 or 2 locations, but in about 6 different locations. So we would, at this time, because of the time frame of launching our next fight, we would have to have all those commissions on the same page, and we just couldn't do it in time. So we're going to be a 3-round fight, and we're going to have our independent title holder.
Okay, so as far as I understood, the bracket alignment, the lack of seeding was sort of a result of the logical process to make title fights, because Overeem and Fedor and Verdum were all on the same side. Now that that's not happening, any reconsideration to restructuring the bracket to make it more of a seeding format?
Well, you know what, and Chuck, that really wasn't the consideration. The consideration of putting the fights together the way we did was to put the most exciting fights together and guarantee the fans that they can see the fights that they want to see. And so I think the title is, icing on the cake. But in this situation, to have our own heavyweight champion that's going to, hold his own, and he'll have his own belt, I think is going to be an exciting time. And I think it's going to be something that once he wins the belt, then they could go fight the tournament winner. I mean the heavyweight champion. So we'll have another great fight out of it. And in the case that Alistair wins, then he'll be the dual champion along with the K1 champion. So it's an exciting time for us. And but that was not the consideration at that time when we put the fights together.
Okay, yeah, that was a lot question. If Alistair wins, what do you do at that point? Any consideration to that?
Well, I tell you, if Alistair wins, then he'll have proven that he's the greatest, not just MMA fighter or K1 fighter. He'll say he's the greatest martial arts fighter in the world. There'll be merit to that, because if he goes through the fights that he needs to go through to win this tournament, or if anybody goes through the fights that they need to go through to win this tournament, they are going to be, to me, looked upon as a champion that has the right to fight for our title belt. But throwing Alistair's recent victory at the K1. And Josh, you know what kind of feat that is. That means you're the greatest stand-up fighter in the world. And I don't think it's ever been accomplished in the past. And honestly, I don't think it'll ever be accomplished again in the future.
Just to clarify with Alistair Overeem's involvement in the tournament, obviously he had said after winning the Grand Prix he planned on, staying active with that this year with the tournament. Is he putting all the K1 stuff aside for 2011, or can you kind of give us a sense of that?
I mean, he will, he will be committed to this tournament, and in fact, we're starting to talk about, last year he filmed that documentary, The Ring. I'm not sure if you guys saw it or not, but it was basically the life and times of Alistair Overeem leading up to his K1 Grand Prix final victory. And, we're going to start, they're going to start shooting the road to the Strikeforce Grand Prix heavyweight title. So they're committed to this fight. And last year, just to be very clear, we have a contract with Alistair, and he came to us, and his manager is a very close friend, and they said, look, we want to fight in the K1. It's important to Alistair. And so, it happened, and we were supporting of it. But this year it's very clear that they need to, support Strikeforce, and the participation in the tournament is going to, require up to 3 fights, and they're committed.
And so because of obviously the injury factor and everything, between now, let's say the first fight and the end of the tournament, he won't be doing anything else besides just fighting in Strikeforce. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That would be something that would be. There's no way that's going to happen. This tournament is going to be taxing on these guys, and there's a lot on the line. And you know what? The one thing I was really happy about this tournament was that when we reached out to Vadim for Fedor to compete, they were excited to compete. Alistair is excited to compete. All these guys are, they want to be in this tournament because to put these 8 guys together, it's a very special moment in time. And, these guys are still in their prime, and these guys all have, their own history getting to this tournament. But this tournament will clearly, it'll clearly state who the best heavyweight fighter in the world is after you go through this gauntlet.